Okay, so this is the beginning of Unit 4. Welcome to Playing the Blues Guitar. This is Unit 4, Part 1. Before we get started here, I just want to remind you to go back and review the E progression, which you can find in your first year guitar book, and it is on page 14. So make sure that you're comfortable with the E, A, and B7 chords, because those are going to be the chords that you're going to use for learning the blues progression. The blues progression can be applied to any key, to any chord progression. This is just the one we're going to start with. It's a pattern of 1, 4, and 5, 7 chords, which is what all of our chord progressions in guitar that we've been playing so far have been made up of. But we're putting them in a certain order, and this order is recognized as the blues. And I think as soon as you hear the progression, it will sound very familiar to you because it's used in almost all blues music and a lot of jazz music as well. It'll be familiar to your ear once you play it. After you review the E progression, turn to page 79 in your method book, to the page that says Playing the Blues, and just kind of take a quick read through, and we'll walk through this together here during this lesson. We're going to start by playing what's called the 12-bar blues pattern, and that's the one I mentioned to you that will be familiar to your ear. And you'll see it written on page 79. We're going to play 4 measures of the E chord. So 4 measures with 4 strums each for a total of 16 strums of E. We're then going to move on to the A chord, which we'll play for 2 measures. We'll go back to the E chord, which is our 1 chord or our home chord, for 2 measures. And then we have this kind of turnaround pattern, which is B7, A, and then back to E, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 measures of E at the end. And that is the 12-bar blues pattern. It's called that because it is made up of 12 measures. Okay, so here it is. Follow along as you listen. It starts with E, 2, 3, 4, then it goes to A, 3 in a row, 2 measures, back to E, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, B7, just 1 measure, A, E, and then you stop. 12 measures, 4 beats each. Okay. Practice that through a few times. Just get comfortable with that pattern and making the transitions with your fingers with these familiar chords. Once you think you've got that down, you should add in what's called the blues strum. It's very, very commonly used. Instead of just a straight up and down strum, you're going to add in an up strum. And for that, you're just going to use the top of your thumb, or maybe the side of your thumb, as opposed to the pad of your thumb, which is what you use when you down strum. You're not going to get as strong of a sound off of an up strum, and that's okay. It might bother your finger a little bit at first. It can hurt a little bit. It can be a little bit sensitive, but you'll get a little bit used to it as your finger gets used to that motion against the strings. A blues strum sounds like this. Instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to catch the up strum every time, but in a little bit of an uneven way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice it's not a straight 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We've got to put some swing into it because it's jazz or blues. So 1, 2. Now I move to my A. And just keep that same strum pattern going. Back to E. And so I just did the full 12-bar blues pattern in the key of E, using just adding in that blues strum. And I'm sure you noticed right away how it transformed the style. It sounded a lot more bluesy, a lot more jazzy within that pattern. The last thing I'm going to show you here in your kind of introduction to playing the blues is what's called the turnaround. And a turnaround it's just kind of a signal if you were playing in a group or you were performing with other guitar players or in a jazz combo with other instruments. Hi, Mr. Howitt. I'm making a video for my guitar class, so pardon me for a moment. Sorry, he just walked in the door. It signals to the rest of the band that at the end of the pattern that you're starting over again. And so you'll see at the very bottom of the page this rhythm that is 1 enda, 2 enda, 3 enda, 4 enda, and they're all down strums. So on the very last measure of the 12-bar blues, that last measure of E, you're going to change your strum pattern to 1 enda, 2 enda, 3 enda, 4 enda. It's fast. Be careful that you're not just playing as fast as you can. You have to keep it in rhythm. 1 enda, 2 enda, 3 enda, 4 enda, and then you start the pattern again. Okay? So let me play, the last thing I'm going to play for you is all the way through the 12-bar blues pattern. I'm going to do it 2 times using the blues strum, and I'm going to plug the turnaround in there so you can hear it. Your next step is going to be to practice all of the steps that I've put in for you so far. So the E progression, the 12-bar blues progression, add the swing strum, the blues strum, and then try the turnaround. Okay? So here's your example. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Here's A. Back to E. B7, A, B. Here's my turnaround. And then you start the whole thing again. And you'll notice that you finish on E and you begin on E. So that's easy. Here's A, E. You also don't have to be doing it as fast as I am right now. You'll also notice that the second time I played the 12-bar blues, I didn't put the turnaround pattern in because we were ending. So I just finished with my blues strum. You only put that turnaround in when you're going to do a repeat. Later, we're going to add some extra notes to this pattern. We're going to add an ending pattern. And we're also going to try some hammer-on. So that'll be in part 2. But for now, make sure that you've mastered up to this point, and then you can watch the next lesson to make things a little bit fancier. Have fun.